Alright guys, you might ask, what are you doing there? So, again, working on an Allison 1000. This is an input drum, and I have the stator housing here. So what we just checked was your overall piston travel. This is your C1 clutch piston and return spring. So we have over 200 thousandths worth of travel if you were paying attention to the gauge when it was returning. So I've had a couple guys ask me, hey, how can I air check this drum when I'm putting it together? There are some important seals if you fully rebuild this drum, and some guys have trouble with getting their truck to go in gear when they put it back together on their DIY builds. So air checking the case, well, we'll talk about that just for a second here real quick. So this is pretty basic. Got this one. This one's got drum already in it, been checked. So on the case, you can see those holes right there, and then you've got holes. This is for the C5 down here. You can see that hole right in there. So on this side, you have how these ones are towards the bottom. So this is drive end up. So this is going to be your C4, and this is going to be your C3. You can air check those through there. I have a plate that I cut and I bolt here in place of the valve body. If you don't have a pattern to cut or someone to laser it out for you, Inglewood actually sells a plate that bolts on here. It's not that expensive actually. So if you're looking at doing your own build, recommend that. So that's fairly straightforward. As far as the drum, not many guys know how the circuits work in the drum, so that's why I wanted to go over this. So I have my dial indicator on there just to demonstrate the travel that we have on the C1 clutch piston. So I'll flip this up. So this is your C1. I was checking travel on that just to prove how much travel you have. If you set the C1s a little bit loose, you know, I don't set them close to 100 thousandths. Some guys run them at 100 thousandths on the C1s, especially if you're running 16 frictions. I don't set them that loose, but you're not going to run out of travel at 100 thousandths, because I just checked that and you have over 200 thousandths worth of travel. And this is your C2 clutch piston up here, and then you've got your housing that goes in between those when you're building it. So we'll flip this up and I'll show you some of the passages. So the stator housing here, this is where the C1 valve sits. So I air checked it through this hole I have marked with a white marker. This is the C1 valve that goes in here. So this is the original Sonax. On these early 5 speeds, I usually run a Sonax valve. It actually has a groove cut in this land and will have a Teflon seal. They're like 30 bucks. I recommend running those. I believe the part number, these are the springs. So your lube and converter relief springs, these are known to break. Definitely get the Sonax ones. These from Capital Core Automatic, they're like 7 bucks, dude. But the C1 valve, sorry, I don't have one sitting here to show you, but that's the same part number, but -05K, I believe. Don't quote me, but look it up and it'll show you the application. Look it up on Sonax's website just to verify. But anyway, so that's the C1 location. C2 is right here with 2 white dots. Hey, look at that. I put 2 dots for C2. So C1, you can air check from there. C2, air check from here. And those actually, you can see I got my bushing missing, so I tore this apart. Just sorry for going off on a tangent, but this is the bushing that I pulled out, because this had a cracked tail housing and bell housing. So obviously the person that returned this core didn't get much of a core charge return because everything was broke. But that will load everything up on the front, vibrations, blah blah blah. This, amazingly, the pump bushing was okay, but the stator bushing is garbage. Throw a new one in there. So we'll pull this housing up, and that's actually where these feed holes come out inside the drum. So I have 1 dot, that's where the C1 air comes out, and 2 dots, that's where the C2 air comes out. And those actually feed in down, you know, I need a light. Okay. So you can see your feed holes down in there. That's actually where they go into in the drum. Now I actually checked this. This has old seals on it because this isn't the drum going in the transmission I'm putting together. The drum's already in the case. But this is the stator that I had cleaned up. Everything, that's what's going back together. And while I'm at it, I will show you the new and old style split rings. So, oh man, the compressor's on? No way. So, this is the old style split ring, which is just like a butt joint. The new style ring, if you buy them, there's a part number for the seal ring kit if you want. They changed this to, it's a lap joint. You'll find a lap joint like this in, oh my god, focus, come on now. So a lap joint like that, they run those in like high pressure air compressors and gas compressors. So this is the new style ring. These get a lot of heat on them, they can get brittle. Change these please when you're doing an overhaul. Most, I would say 99% of rebuild kits that you buy are going to come with new seal rings. Please change them. So that is pretty basic on air checking the drum. Definitely recommend doing all this stuff, especially if you're a first timer. Pretty simple procedure, but figured I would share.